I told you that we've got more sports card collectors than we ever have before in the history of sports card collecting, going against some of the recent conversation around this topic. Stick around. What's going on, sports card hobby family? Another day, another disappointing Monday for me to wake up to my New Orleans Saints losing 7 games in a row. And we've completely hit rock bottom. We lost to the lowly Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young. Somehow we managed to win the time of possession, win the turnover battle, win the total yards, and still gave the game away. But that's the season that we've had here as a New Orleans Saints fan. But we struggle on. We continue to fight on. Huge thanks to today's video sponsor, COMC.com. I recently bought a couple of 2012 Silver Prism. I think they were both 9s, PSA 9s. I've been looking at that set more closely after a conversation with my buddy DPZ. He got me kind of thinking more on that particular set. I think it is going to be an all-time important set, and I've been looking at silver prisms in particular. I do think there's going to be, over time, not in the short run, I think though over the long run, there's going to be nostalgia around Prism, and especially the first set that they ever made. So I've been looking kind of more closely at the Prism Silvers that really don't have very high pop counts, and so hey, pretty cool. I'll check it out. 35 million plus cards on COMC, so don't hesitate. COMC, it's the place to be. The 23 Air Show Collectors Convention coming up at the end of April 2025. If you want to exhibit, if you want to attend, this is a Michael Jordan focused show. So it's all the Michael Jordan cards, memorabilia. Michael Jordan, probably the most collectible athlete in the sports card hobby at this stage. Check this out. Reach out to me if you want more information about this show coming up at the end of April. It's going to be unique. All right, so why do I say against, I guess, some of the recent takes here about how there's no collectors, it's only flippers, it's only gamblers? I do agree with a lot of that sentiment, and I have said that we need more collectors, more focus around building out the collector base, really the foundation of the sports card hobby. So much emphasis on the stupid distribution of breaks and repacks and all the other stuff that people are getting involved in. But what ends up happening, I think in a lot of cases, and I've had a lot of comments on videos that are speaking to this, hey, started out in breaks, now I'm solely in the singles market. It just makes a lot more sense to me. That is really, to me, the graduation of breaks. They might be kind of an entrance to get in, but eventually, hopefully people don't leave. Hopefully, even though that 70, 80, 90% get absolutely annihilated in the break, that they still stick around and say, you know what? I could have put that $100 just towards single cards of the players that I do like or the sets that I want to collect. And let's face it, we are in a weak flipping environment. Card flipping is not what it was a few years ago. Can you make money in card flipping? Sure. There are certainly opportunities at all times to buy and sell cards. There's always arbitrage, but it is a whole different world than what it was going back years. And I find myself just looking at kind of the overall hassle of a lot of the prospecting. You know, you're buying, you're anticipating, and if you're right, then it feels good for sure. If you're wrong, then you end up kind of offloading those cards. And not many people talk about them being wrong. You know, they'll talk about how they hit it on Ohtani. Oh, I got it right with Sam Darnold. I happen to have 50 Sam Darnold cards, and now he's going off, and so I'm selling those. But for every Sam Darnold this season and for every Ohtani that's worked out over time, there's probably 100 other players that you might have bought some cards that, hey, just in case, I'll get in on this player, and it has not worked out. And the odds are stacked against you for most of these guys working out. It's not most of these guys working out. It's like single digits of all these athletes that are going to be important, in quotation marks, for the hobby. Hell, they could even be having good seasons. They could even be having great careers. If they're not popular within the hobby, if they're not hyped up, if they're not playing the right position, whatever that people are buying and selling and flipping into, then it's not a good flipping environment. It's just not. It's flippers flipping to flippers. It's dealers selling to dealers, and the dealers just showing up at the show and praying, please let the repack guys come so that we can sell off some of these cards at 80% or 90 or whatever it is, because the repackers are going to be able to make their margin on the repack. So look, it's a weak environment for flipping cards. You know, guys are really, scrounging for pennies, trying to make, I got 10%, I got 15% on this card. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, well, taxes, there's all sorts of expenses to be at the show or travel or whatever. 10 to 15% ain't going to do it. You're going to have to make some big wins to make this all happen. The other part that I really love too is you always hear like, I did 5,000 at the show. I did 10,000 at the show. Is that your net profit or is that your gross revenue? Because I think that's a lot of what we're hearing about. Oh man, good show. 10,000. I sold 10,000. I sold 20,000. Okay. What were your costs? What was your buy-in on the cards? What was your travel costs and all that stuff? Your net is probably not $10,000. Maybe it is. Maybe you had a great show and you did profit 10,000. I think that it's few and far between for dealers. I think some dealers, and again, I think that there's kind of it's the 80-20 rule. You have like the top 20%, top 10, 20% of dealers that are doing well, that are able to really kind of to make gains, and they're able to buy low and sell higher. But the other 80% of dealers are just kind of pretenders out there, kind of pretending like, we got cash on the table. We got all this cash flowing. I just don't believe it. It is a weak flipping environment. Now, let's talk about social media and where I think that social media is kind of a little bit misleading on what's really happening out in the world. And what I mean by that is a lot of the social media is going to be focused around new product, or it's going to be focused around very specific cards or sets that people are collecting. So all you really kind of see is like new product, 90s inserts, certain vintage cards or whatever. But really 99% of what I think of the hobby is just player collectors, team collectors, set collectors. They're not on social media. They don't care to post cards. They don't even care to even like be known or to talk about it or do any of that stuff. They are literally just collecting cards. That's all that they want to do. That's their deal. And I've said this, I think 99% of the hobby does not watch card, YouTube or IG, doesn't give a damn about me or anybody else. There's so many huge egos in the space about being some sort of like, man, I'm bringing the pulse of the hobby to these people. Hell, I even saw, my God, there's a guy that on IG bought an account that was like a baseball account, like a sports account, that already had like 70 or 80,000 followers, then turned it into a sports card account. And I literally heard him say, this was like a week or two ago, nice enough guy, but said something to the effect of like, I know that I'm an influencer. And I'm thinking to myself, are you really an influencer of what? Like who's watching that and thinking like, oh man, I need to buy into this or that or whatever. You popped up 2 years ago, you bought a channel that was a sports channel, then turned it into a sports card channel. Why would hobbyists, especially hobbyists that have been in for 5, 10, 15, 20 years plus, look at that individual and say, yes, I know you've got 80,000, 90,000 people on IG. Granted, the majority of the folks don't know that it was purchased at 70,000, 75,000 and it was a baseball channel or whatever the hell it was. But I think that's kind of the point is there's so many people that really, really think that they moved the needle and that everyone is just waiting to listen to their last word about something. And just me included. I do not pretend like people are just like, I need to know what Dustin's got to say on this particular topic before I do anything. People just watch this, I hope, for me and Alf and for a little bit of entertainment throughout their day. I'm not here to be your card expert. Never have been. Never have been. It's really just about bringing a solid hairline, a good shirt or hoodie that's got the 80s, 90s nostalgia that we all care about. We got Alf, we got the gang here. That's really what it's about when I put together a video. And my kids think I'm cool because I'm a YouTuber. That's pretty much the majority of this, guys. Now, speaking to this kind of silent majority that I'm talking about of collectors, I lost a card last night over the weekend, maybe not last night, Saturday night, and I felt really comfortable that I was going to win this card. 2018 Prism Gold, True Gold, out of 10, Alvin Kamara. My guy, I've been trying to pick him up, the Saints, Dismal Saints. I've been trying to pick up some cool Kamara cards, and I have some great Kamara cards. And this one pops up, not a card that you see every day. It's on the saved searches, it popped up. My top bid, I think, was $258. Now, again, if you listen to all the hobby folks, it's, running backs, you're going to spend money on a running back. Now, I'm not buying this Kamara card because I can't wait to get it graded out. I'm going to hope to get a 10 so that I can flip this card in a month. I'm buying the card because that's not an easy card to find. I want to add it in to my collection, my Kamara collection. And 2018 is one of my favorite all-time Prism sets. I love the look of that set, the design. It's very simple. We got the Luka back here, the 2018, the painting. It's a very simple design. I just really love that design. This is not a hyped up hobby flip card. I know that I lost this card at about $350 is what it ended up going for, raw, ungraded, to another Saints Chimera collector. And I'm in these groups too where like I kind of know there are folks like me that are out there bidding, and I'm just hoping that they don't see the auction, or I'm hoping that I end up winning it. I thought $258 was a strong offer. It wasn't even really close. I was $100 off, and now I look back and I'm like, damn, you know, I wish I would have bid more, but $350 is pretty rich for me for that particular card. I'm trying to buy kind of Chimera at a discount. I also do understand when it comes to a running back like him. Right now, he's relevant and all that sort of thing. 5 years, he's out of the league. You know, that's going to be an easier card to probably pick up. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Maybe there are other collectors that'll be out there and they want those cards. Again, every year with Prism, it's 10 true gold. So they're just not printing a lot of them. And so I'm confident, again, I lost that to another Saints Chimera collector. Another piece I did, a week or two ago, we talked about card shows in decline. Hasn't happened yet. Man, I saw some videos, some pictures of the Dallas Card Show over this past weekend, as well as the Shriners Card Show. Now, remember, Orlando, Fanatics Fest, Orlando was supposed to also be this past weekend. It was canceled. But if I look at the crowd over there for the Dallas Card Show, the Shriners Show, and the feedback that I saw on those shows, it looked like they were pretty busy. Like nothing has really slowed down. Now, I do think that we're kind of getting to the end of show season. It will slow down as we get especially kind of to Thanksgiving in the U.S. and into December. It's natural. It always happens that way. And so that doesn't mean that card shows are dead. That's just how it always is as we get into the holiday season. And then I anticipate really it's probably going to pick up again in January and February. That'll be what's interesting to watch, you know, and maybe I just completely missed. You know, I said card shows in decline. I do think that there's going to be consolidation on shows. I do think there's too many shows right now. Maybe that works itself out here in 2025. It also could just mean, though, that the long-standing shows, kind of like the brand shows that people like and enjoy and really go to, will hold up just fine. Like the Dallas Card Show, like Shriners. That's a show in Massachusetts. My buddy Ryan goes to that pretty much every time. And, you know, those are shows that you've got dedicated dealers for those shows. You've got dedicated attendees that go see their buddies. And I think that stuff is going to probably hold up just fine. Now, some of the newer shows, some of the more expensive shows to exhibit at, it might not be the case. You know, it just might not be that there is enough bandwidth for dealers to get around to those shows and for collectors to travel to these types of shows. You know, I mean, it's a challenge. And so we will have to see, my friends, but I do believe that there are more collectors now than there ever have been before. I do think that people are learning, getting smarter as they get in. They might come in through, you know, the gambling avenue because, like I said, social media, man, so focused on buying into the break and the Raz and the duck race and, you know, shoot a hoop and get a pack and whatever the hell. And also buy a ticket to the Ferris wheel while you're at the carnival. I mean, so much focus around that. Not really as much focus around kind of the collector side, which is that silent majority. There are a ton of folks that are on eBay, that are on these auction sites, that are buying up cards every single day. It's high dollar, high volume stuff. And it's not just low end, it's mid end, it's high end. I mean, considering all the craziness in the sports card hobby with scammy type stuff and also just kind of rise and fall from 2021, there are still a ton of people into it and getting into it as we move forward. Will that continue on? I really do hope that there is just more social media away from what we've been seeing and more just around collector type stuff. People really kind of talking about what they're getting into, why they're getting into it, strategies around it. That's interesting to me. The screaming at the top of your lungs because you got a pink pulsar numbered out of 75 for a random player out of a break. You know, I get it. I think that's a popular part of the hobby. I can speak for a lot of other folks that just do not care about it whatsoever. All right, my friends, stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.